Hello and welcome to this short video about sociology. We're dealing with an essay strategy for the 25 mark question, Social Inequality and Difference exam, G674 OCR A2 level. And the question we're looking at specifically, we're going to look at some general advice for any 25 mark question. But the specific question is, outline and assess the view that overt observation is the best way to research gender differences in schools. 25 marks. So we've got two key elements. We've got overt observation, which is the method, but we've got gender differences in schools, referring to a type of social inequality and difference and an area of social life, education. Now, unlike the 15 mark question, you are given a specific SID topic here, social inequality and difference, I refer to as the SID. And you need to make sure you refer to that SID topic, and the way I would do it is to use it for examples as before. So, in your introduction for this essay, I would cover several key issues. And then my essay, the main body of my essay, would cover those issues in more depth, referring to the essay question at all times. So my introduction, you'd always define the key words. So we define the key words over observation, subjects or participants are aware they're being observed. So it's an open observation or overt observation. It's where groups or individuals' behaviour is watched by the researcher. So it's a type of observation. There can be participant or non-participant observation. Both of them can be overt or closed, covert. Participant observation is where you're involved. Non-participant observation is where you're not involved in the activities and lifestyle of the group you study. So define the key words. In any question in the introduction, I'd refer to the potential issues of Perv G with this method for studying this topic. So Perv G stands for practical issues, access, cost and time, ACT. Ethical issues, whether it's morally right or wrong to do the research in the way it's done. Whether it can potentially cause harm, psychologically or otherwise, to research or participants. Can it lead to stereotyping of groups to study the topic or in the way it's studied? Representativeness and generalizability. This is to do with the sampling, the target population, whether the sample is typical in terms of social characteristics and background, the proportions of people from different backgrounds, class, age, gender, ethnicity, compared to the whole wider target population. Reliability and validity. Okay, the extent to which the data can be replicated with this method for this topic, the extent to which the data is accurate about this topic using this method. So I'd always refer to Perv G in the introduction. I'd basically list the Perv G concepts, and then in the essay I discuss the strengths and the weaknesses in terms of Perv G. In terms of each of those concepts, I discuss the strengths and weaknesses of the method for studying this topic. Methodologies. I'd refer to the methodologies in the introduction and I'd basically list them in a sentence. So in terms of overt observation, we're studying gender differences in schools. Positivists, interpretivists, feminists and realists would have differing views about the usefulness of this approach for this topic. Studies. You need to mention 2 or 3 studies in the main body of the essay. And so you can mention that in your introduction that you're going to do that. In terms of the main body of the essay, we've got some ideas on this whiteboard. And I'll give you 2 examples. Okay, with overt observation, the practical issues of access, may be possible to ask gatekeepers overtly to gain informed consent. Means that you can improve the ethical nature of the research, because you're going to be able to gain people's agreement to take part based on their knowledge of the research. You're more likely to be able to publish the data because they know that the research is being done and they're taking part, and then less likely to ask for it to be cancelled, possibly, if you're open with them about what you're doing and you get their full agreement. It avoids the deception that's found in covert studies of observation, such as the Humphreys study. So you can see how you can discuss those kinds of issues. You can give strengths and weaknesses. Weaknesses like the problem that observation is generally more problematic. You're likely to get, in terms of, it's more problematic in terms of representativeness and generalizability, because you're likely to get a smaller sample with an observation approach. With over-observation, less people may agree to take part because they don't wish to be observed in their everyday life. With participant observation, you're more involved. With non-participant observation, less involved. Those types of observations may also have effects on the representativeness and generalizability. People may drop out of the observation. If you're less involved, they might forget that you're there more easily. So you might get more people involved and improve the ability to apply the results on a wider scale to issues like gender differences in schools. It may be more natural. You might get more ecological validity if you're studying young people in schools, comparing males and females and how they're taught. And you can also bring in the methodologies in the main body of the research of the essay. So you could say, interpretivists might argue that validity can be achieved with more depth through over observation if you can ask for more information or ask about why. You can get more information about meanings, interpretations. Because it's open, you're more able to do that, whereas with a covert study you'd have to conceal your note-taking and you wouldn't be able to ask further questions as easily. So there's several points you can bring in. One of my students referred to Holden's study, Ethnic Integrative Play, where it was an overt non-participant observation approach in parks and playgrounds. And with that study, they're trying to find out whether kids play with from different backgrounds play together. And so you could discuss studies like that, talk about how they could identify patterns in behaviour, especially if they're gathering quantitative data using overt observation. The positivists would value this because it's more likely to have high reliability. You can more easily gather information about patterns and trends. It has a more scientific feel. So you've got to have these elements in the essay. You've got to have the sense of a discussion, for and against, all the time, discussing the strengths and weaknesses. So it's not just black and white, yes or no. It is a discussion. So it is a discussion of the issues, the strengths and weaknesses. You're trying to come to some kind of a conclusion about the overall fundamental strengths or weaknesses of the method for studying the topic. And so it depends on the question. But those elements, define the key words, refer to PERVG, refer to the methodologies, refer to studies, refer to perspectives and concepts like feminists argue patriarchy be found in schools, so they want to discover that. They might argue that it's important to collaborate with people, which you can more easily do with an overt study to gain more understanding and perhaps be open about patriarchy so that it might change the way people behave, which might challenge patriarchy, which might lead to a less patriarchal world. So you can see how you can bring in concepts into this area. Hope this has been useful. Remember, keep it clear, keep it straightforward, separate paragraphs. explain key points, use evidence, and come to some kind of a judgment or decision at the end. I hope this has been useful. Email Daniel_Butcher at hotmail.co.uk if you have any questions or queries.